Hong Kong women's ice hockey team wins a historic gold in Romania. The PLA concludes 3 days of military drills around Taiwan. And the French president says Europe should pursue a Taiwan strategy independent of both Washington and Beijing. Hello and happy Monday. The Hong Kong women's ice hockey team won a historic gold at the Ice Hockey Women's World Championship Division III Group A event in Romania. Team leader Annie Kwan thanked her team and promised the right anthem would be played before the ceremony. Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Kevin Young also praised the team for their excellent performance. Veronica Lin reports.
The championship with a 6-team lineup took place in Romania. The Hong Kong team won 4 of 5 matches and was ranked second. They then defeated Estonia, winning 13 points in total. Lithuania, who were ranked first, lost to Ukraine and dropped to third place. The Hong Kong team eventually won by a narrow margin of a single point and made history by winning gold. The team will be promoted to Division II Group B. Apart from the win, player Ng Wing Hei was named the most valuable player. The national anthem of China was played during the award ceremony. Before that, team leader Annie Kwan said she was going to make sure no anthem blunder would occur. Kwan said the government can rest assured that the correct anthem will be played and that she'll double-check it before the ceremony. Earlier this year, at the men's hockey game in Bosnia, a protest song was played instead of the Chinese national anthem. The team leader at the event was also Annie Kwan. Kwan said she'd like to express thanks to all players, male and female, as well as U18 players and their families. She's also grateful to the government for their support and resources, even though the sport has not been included in the Elite Vote Support Scheme this year. Sports Chief Kevin Young congratulated the team on reaching new heights and achieving good results. The Sports Federation and Olympic Committee of Hong Kong, China said the team showed what Hong Kong athletes are capable of and that they will continue to support their training. Veronica Lin, TVB News.
On the last day of the Easter holiday, the arrival hall of the West Kowloon station was packed with people returning from the mainland. Mimo Singhai spoke with some of the passengers.
Time flies when you are having fun. People coming back from their trips today may feel like this. With the 4-day-long Easter break coming to an end, many travelers returned to Hong Kong today. Suitcases, carrier bags, and queues. This was the scene at the West Kowloon Station arrival hall this morning.
The arrival hall is buzzing with energy on the final day of the Easter holiday, with passengers streaming in from different places in the mainland, including Guangzhou and Shenzhen.
To get a high-speed rail ticket, one option is the China Railway 12306 online ticketing website. With a substantial number of passengers wanting to return to the city, tickets became unavailable. How do individuals rate their traveling experience?
It's very smooth, actually, better than Hong Kong. Before the corona was Hong Kong, now it's much better.
Was it like really packed on the train?
The train is full. The train is full. I think mini crowd. I suggest maybe they can have more trains because I supposed to come yesterday, but no more trains than I come today.
This man, however, felt differently.
Yes, it is smooth, but only here, there are only few people, so just one counter for a long line of foreigners, so it took 1 hour just to get through, so quite inconvenient.
Some residents, meanwhile, decided to spend their remaining holiday by traveling to Changzhou. More than 100 people queued for ferry tickets in the morning. Many went with family. This girl said there were many activities for her to do on the island, such as eating ping-pong buns. Nonetheless, before eating buns and other snacks, patience is required as streets are packed with other hungry tourists. While the island was also a popular spot for holiday homes in the past, some staff members said most people only came for a day trip this Easter. Mimosa 9, TVB News.
People's Liberation Army forces today carried out more drills around Taiwan. Beijing has now ended 3 days of military exercises around the island, saying they have tested integrated military capabilities under actual combat conditions. Jackie Lin with more.
In a video released by CCTV, the People's Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command simulated precision strikes against Taiwan on the third and last day of its drills encircling the island. Dubbed the Joint Sword Exercises, the combat patrol staged raids and naval blockades against hostile vessels. The video also showed the country's first homemade aircraft carrier, the Shandong, took part in the drills, with fighter jets taking off from its deck. Aerial assaults were also involved. They include H-6 bombers armed with live missiles and warships deployed to form what they call a multi-directional island-encompassing blockade situation. Its defense ministry said as of Monday's mid-morning, it has spotted 59 PLA aircraft and 11 PLA ships around Taiwan. The ministry separately released pictures on Monday of mobile launchers for the Taiwan-made Xiongfeng anti-ship missiles at an undisclosed location, as well as missile-armed fast attack boats at sea. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Meantime, India is on the verge of becoming the world's most populous country. A United Nations projection says India, with more than 1.4 billion people, will surpass the population of China sometime in the second half of this month. India's 2011 census had put the country's population at 1.21 billion, meaning they added 210 million, or almost the number of people in Brazil, in 12 years. The explosion is posing its own challenges, with a massive and young workforce expected to migrate to the cities, leading to rapid and large-scale increases in urban populations. India's economic ambitions also face a challenge if its 670 million women are left out of the workforce. Experts worry it could become a liability if India fails to ensure enough women are employed. Women in the Indian workforce are already among the 20 lowest in the world, and the number has been shrinking for decades. In comments made last week during his visit to China and published on Sunday, French President Emmanuel Macron said that Europe had no interest in an acceleration of the crisis over Taiwan. He added European countries should pursue a strategy on the matter independent of both Washington and Beijing. Daniel Rao tells us more.
In comments to French newspaper Les Echos and Politico made during his visit to China, Macron said Europe should not accelerate the conflict, but take the time to build its position as a third pole between China and the United States. Politico quoted the French president as saying the worst thing would be to think that we Europeans must become followers on this topic and adapt to the American rhythm or a Chinese overreaction. Both media outlets quoted Macron as saying that Europe must better fund its defense industry, develop nuclear and renewable energy, and reduce dependence on the US dollar to limit its reliance on Washington. The joint interview was given on a flight last Friday between Beijing and the city of Guangzhou. Macron had just returned from a 3-day state visit to China, where he received a warm welcome from President Xi Jinping. Macron travelled to China with a 50-strong business delegation, including Airbus and nuclear energy producer EDF, which signed deals during the visit. China began drills around Taiwan on Saturday in the wake of Taiwan leader Tsai Ing-wen's meeting with the Speaker of the US House of Representatives Kevin McCarthy during a stopover in Los Angeles last week. On Friday, an advisor to Macron told reporters in Guangzhou that President Xi and Macron had a dense and frank discussion on the issue of Taiwan during their meetings. Daniel Rell, TVB News.
Russia's forces maintained a barrage of attacks on Ukrainian cities in the eastern regions, Ukraine's military reported. The commander of the Ukrainian ground forces said Russian troops attacking Bakhmut had switched to scorched earth tactics, destroying buildings and positions with airstrikes and artillery. Russian forces have been besieging Bakhmut for months in the longest battle in more than a year of war. In Zaporizhia, Ukraine officials said a 50-year-old man and his 11-year-old daughter were killed after Russian forces struck a residential building. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attacks, which coincide with the observance of Orthodox Palm Sunday. He said Moscow was further isolating itself from the world. Still ahead, political fallout in South Korea from recent leakage of Pentagon documents. A look at the two coaches to be used during the coronation of King Charles III next month. And Hong Kong actor Richard Ng passes away at age 83. Welcome back. Leaked Pentagon documents reveal possible U.S. spying on its ally South Korea, as well as how deeply Washington has meddled in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The New York Times reported that dozens of classified military documents have been posted on websites concerning South Korea, Ukraine, Israel, and other countries. Nazvi Karim has more.
The United States needed to replenish its stockpile of artillery shells. South Korea agreed to provide them. But top South Korean officials were worried the U.S. might divert the shipment to Ukraine, going against Seoul's policy of not supplying weapons to nations in conflict. How did the U.S. know about South Korean doubts? Well, they may have been spying on one of their most important allies. This scenario is among a host of sensitive details taken from classified U.S. documents that have been leaked online, first reported by the New York Times. Dozens of documents were reportedly uploaded onto websites such as Discord and 4chan, with information on Israel's Mossad spy agency, the war in Ukraine, China, the Middle East, and Africa. U.S. officials told Reuters that the breadth of topics suggests the leaks were instigated by an American, possibly with sympathies towards Russia in its war with Ukraine. Many of the documents, posted weeks ago but only reported by the New York Times on Friday, were marked secret or top secret. U.S. officials have not ruled out the documents being doctored. The Pentagon has referred it to the Department of Justice, which has opened a criminal investigation. South Korean lawmaker Kim Byung-ju said today he deeply regrets the U.S. spying allegations, urging Washington to stop such actions and demanding a clear fact check. Seoul's presidential office said today if reports of spying are confirmed, it is a breach of South Korea's sovereignty. One document marked top secret from a CIA update on March 1st says the Mossad encouraged protests against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plans to tighten controls on the Supreme Court. Netanyahu's office described the claim as mendacious and without any foundation whatsoever. Another leak, dated February 23rd and marked secret, says Ukraine's S-300 air defense systems would be depleted by May 2nd at current usage, intelligence that would benefit Russia's armed forces. It is seen as one of the most serious breaches of U.S. security since WikiLeaks published more than 700,000 documents, videos and diplomatic cables in 2013. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
King Charles III will take a shorter ride to Westminster Abbey for his forthcoming coronation than when his mother was crowned in 1953. Two coaches will be used for the journey to and from the Abbey on May 6th. Matthew Bray reports.
Buckingham Palace has slowly been releasing details of the coronation scheduled for early May. The scale of the event won't be as opulent as in 1953 for Queen Elizabeth. Apparently to reflect the modern age and current economic woes, the royal carriages used will be the oldest and newest in the collection. Charles and Camilla will travel to the Abbey in the Diamond Jubilee State Coach, built to commemorate Elizabeth's 60th year on the throne and first used in 2014.
The interior is inlaid with specimen woods from places such as Balmoral Castle, from Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh, but also from places and people associated with British and world history. There's a fragment of Florence Nightingale's dress, for example.
The 1.3-mile journey to Westminster Abbey is slightly less than the route Elizabeth took, and the service will be shorter than the 3-hour one that installed Charles's mother. After the service, the couple will return to the palace in the coronation procession, but this time in the 260-year-old gold state coach, which has been used at every coronation since William IV's in 1831. It was first used by George III for the state opening of Parliament in 1762.
The coach is huge. You might be able to tell that from how I'm standing beside it. It's nearly 4 metres tall, it's over 7 metres long. It weighs 4 tonnes. Because of that, it can only be used at a walking pace, which really adds to the majesty and the stateliness of this great royal procession.
In 2018, Queen Elizabeth described the journey from the palace to the Abbey as horrible, saying it wasn't comfortable, something the head coachman will be keen to avoid Charles saying.
Obviously, because of the horses, you've got to, when you get on that position, you've got to be the person in charge, and you've got to show the control to show the horses we're okay and we've got this, and it's all one big team effort. So we've got 8 horses which will be strapped to the gold coach, 4 postilions and walking grooms all the way around, and we're all there to make sure that the King gets there safely and returns safely.
Matthew Bray, TVB News.
The government budget has earmarked $265 million for Cyberport to boost smart living startups. Some startups hope the funding can help popularize their technological products and improve people's daily lives through smart living applications. Sakura Ip spoke to some of the potential candidates.
Can you resist the tempting offer under an aggressive sales pitch? This VR experiential game sets the scene in a facial center or a fitness center, where people usually fall for aggressive sales pitches. You can familiarize yourself with different scenarios to avoid stepping into pricey sales traps.
Right now, I would say we are answering the problems one by one. One of the investment we want to pull into is like how we create like a more comprehensive and in-depth gaming approach to help those people who really need those games, who really need to know the data, and also at the same time how to help Hong Kong as a society together to advance to promote like the smart living approach that's able to capture data and help them to answer like the daily living difficulties, which we see as on an everyday basis.
The aging population is one of the pain points of the society. This AR system encourages athletes to do more muscle training through games.
The government budget has earmarked $265 million for Cyberport to launch an incubation program for smart living startups. Successful applicants can receive grants of up to $500,000 each, as well as targeted professional support and counseling. About 450 eligible startups will benefit from the program in the next 5 years. Cyberport saw a more than 45% increase in the number of smart living startups addressing different needs and issues during the pandemic, and Hong Kong can be their best testing ground.
So our Cyberport startup mainly right now for in the social innovation aspect can definitely be helped to address some social pain points. Our startup solution can be helping them to migrate into other regions through different kind of partnership with the government for POC, for MVP. Those things can be enhanced them to prove their concept become reality. And then with that POC project, to migrate to other regions like in GBA, in Asian market, that definitely can be a good trial to prove their work is okay.
He also hopes people of all ages will benefit from technological advances as more smart living applications become available to address their needs. Sakura Ip, TVB News.
Veteran Hong Kong actor Richard Ng passed away at the age of 83. Having enjoyed a successful entertainment career spanning 3 decades, Ng was known for his comedic roles in a slew of Hong Kong movie classics. Our Jackie Lin looks back at his life on and off the silver screen.
Born into a wealthy family, Richard Ng moved to the UK at the age of 15. Despite having enrolled in a dentistry program, he soon found his true interest was in film. After starring in The Countess from Hong Kong, directed by Charlie Chaplin, he decided to find new opportunities back home, Hong Kong. He joined TVB back in the 1970s and helped produce and made guest appearances in comedy show The Hui Brothers, before his debut on the silver screen in a 1976 comedy classic, The Private Eyes. That kickstarted Richard's movie career spanning some 30 years with memorable roles in The Pilfer's Progress and Winner Takes All. But it's his performances as exhaust pipe in Winners and Sinners that cemented his status as a city's comedian of the generation. The movie became a template for his series Lucky Stars. He could also be seen as the original troll popularizing pranks on variety TV shows. Richard Ng had been plagued by health problems in recent years, including kidney and hearing issues, and he had undergone heart surgery. He passed away at hospital on Easter Sunday. He is survived by his wife Susan and 4 children, including actor Carl Ng. Twice nominated for the Best Actor award at the Hong Kong Film Awards, Richard brought fun, laughter, and a cinematic legacy of some 80 classic movies as an embodiment of the heyday of Hong Kong's film industry before the turn of the century. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly.